Hi everyone, I'm so honored to be welcomed with such great words, and I consider this platform as one of the greatest opportunities I've ever had. I'm AYSHA ZEBA, and here I am, trying to give you some life lessons through some of my experiences. Life is an unpredictable journey. We never know what happens in the very next few seconds of our life. We are all surrounded by different kinds of people. We meet different kinds of people. We all have our loved ones. But at the end of the day, I am who I am and you are who you are. We are left all alone by ourselves. Self-realization is a very crucial part in this journey. There are questions you must ask yourselves, and those questions must be answered by yourselves to you and not to others. Who am I? What do I like? Why do I behave this way? Where do I lack? Am I satisfied with my life? It was during the lockdown times that I asked these questions to myself and tried to answer them. I am always a student. I keep on learning things throughout my life. But my will to accept myself for who I am has only come from realizing my inner soul. When we say education, the first thing that goes to our mind is the bookish knowledge that we all have been learning throughout our life. But it has a broad meaning. For me, education is self-realization. You have achieved the first step of educating yourselves by realizing yourself. Education in my life is something that I use to broaden my views on myself, others, and the world. For instance, when I was in 5th grade, my teacher gave me a role in our upcoming class assembly. I had to read some news headlines. I was excited to be on stage at that age, but I was too reluctant to work on it. Each time she called me for assembly rehearsals, I didn't bring any news to read and I told her, "Ma'am, I'll be ready by the day of assembly." And when that day actually came, I forgot to collect news the previous day and I was in a rush early in the morning to search for news and I accidentally picked some newspapers at home without checking the date. Of course, I picked the wrong ones which dated a few days back. My teacher checked the newspapers in the class and saw the date, and she had to cancel the news reading for that day's assembly. She never got mad at me for that day because I was young, but I regretted that day so much that the small child in me had a few sleepless nights thinking about this. I was anxious after realizing that I gave my teacher so much trouble in the early morning. But later, I learned from this situation that I can never turn back time and do a good job with the news. Rather, if any time I take up a responsibility out of my own will, I should try my best to bring best results. I shouldn't be lazy and later repent on what I've missed. I should work hard, and even if it doesn't give me what I expected, I can still be happy by thinking I did all my best for it. This was something that I learned from that day, and like this, from every mistake we make, we learn something new. And by learning, you're educating yourselves. And yes, the biggest education in our life is self-realization. Coming back to the point, by exploring the answers of the questions I mentioned before, I found myself gradually transforming. I'm not the person who I used to be. I've changed. My view on life has changed. Back in the years 2017, 18, or 19, when I was a little 10, 11, or 12-year-old girl, and yes, it was before lockdown, I was a validation seeker. I was always dependent on others for opinions and actions, let it be my friends, families, or any other person I know. I always fed what majority accepted because it was easier for me to follow the path drawn by someone instead of building my own path. I always thought I needed to be accepted by people to not be left alone. Sometimes I even played tricks in school. Even though I felt bad, I just went for it because I thought it made me look cool among my friends. During the lockdown times, like everyone else, my social interactions reduced. I started to be the friend, judge, and society of myself. I tried to explore myself. I didn't have to wait for anyone's acceptance or opinions. I started to think on matters and decisions on my own. Eventually, I realized that I can still be happy with expressing to others the real me and not trying to please others, and have a stable stand on anything with confidence. From then on, I felt comfortable being my own self without trying to please others. I also had an ignorant approach towards many things. Since I followed what majority believed and accepted, I never tried to analyze problems on my own. By the time I came to my self-realization, I was 13, an age when curiosity and interest builds up. Once my sister came to me and showed me a video clip of a comedy show broadcasted through television. The clip was of a joke made by the people in the show. The things they showed under the name of a joke was clearly racist. The program was followed and enjoyed by a mass audience, which included me. When she showed the clip to me, I never thought of the consequences it could cause and didn't think of why people went against it. I was ignorant of the issue, and all that mattered to me was it has a lot of views, a lot of fans, and they can't be wrong. And there comes the very cliche excuse of every person trying to justify the mistake. It was just a joke. But I didn't realize at that time that simple joke has been affecting a mass group of people's lives. I never thought all these people following it would be wrong. My intention at that time was to protect the show I enjoyed at any costs, and that was very bad. Social media, something that we cannot live without at the moment. It has played a major role in each and everyone's lives during the lockdown. I too became much more active in social media like many other people. And very fortunately, I was exposed to the most positive sides of internet and social media. As you all know, it also has its toxic sides. Days after she mentioned the clip to me, I saw people on the internet debating on the issue, and that was when I realized I too had to focus on what's happening around me, because I can also come across such a situation any time in my life. I then started to analyze both sides of the debate and came to a conclusion of what was right and what was wrong. I realized how toxic that few minutes of the so-called joke mentioned in the video is going to affect the people in the society in which I am a part of. It was not just about that show. I then came across many such situations in real life and in social media. I came across controversies, people's discussions, talks, and so on. I then started to support things which I felt was right for others and myself, and made sure my decisions and opinions didn't harm the people around me, and now I always make sure I'm no more ignorant to what I see or what I hear. It is also very important to learn how to communicate and the language of communication. I wasn't able to master this art of communication until a very few months ago. Back in the years before lockdown, almost every one of us had a routine to follow. I too had such a routine. My day started from 5 in the morning. I had to get ready for school. Then I spent 6 to 7 hours of my day in the school. Gets back home, then I spend the rest of the time playing, doing homeworks, working on my hobbies, etc. The cycle goes on, the typical life of a student. Although we live with our family, we do not get much time to spend with them because of the routine I mentioned. This made my family time and conversations with them less. I talked with them, but I could never enjoy the beauty of a lengthy table discussion with parents. I never knew what a healthy and happy discussion with family meant. Therefore, I also had some hesitations whenever I had to open up my opinions or disagreements in front of my parents. But then again, the lockdown has brought a change to my routine. It started to change as a bolt from the blue. I didn't have to go to school. Of course, we had online classes, but it only took about 2 to 3 hours of my day. The only people around me at that time was my family. We started to have all the 3 meals of a day together. We always had something to chit-chat about. We all had different opinions. I found a new joy being involved in many serious and very silly family conversations. Sometimes it turns out to be arguments, yet they are fun. We never hated each other for having different opinions. After all, we are a family. We are different individuals. It is bound to have different opinions for different individuals when living in a society. We began to open up to each other so well, and now I learn to communicate all of my emotions to them. I'm pretty aware of how they will react to what I say or what I do. Lack of proper communication also used to hinder my ability to convey the ideas in my mind. It used to be easily misunderstood, but as I spoke up, I was able to overcome this problem. When I say I've changed, it is because I was and I'm still ready to accept my mistakes. I don't feel ashamed of correcting myself, and I don't hesitate to speak up for myself. I believe every person in this world must go through a self-realization process and become a better person according to you. So the first step to better oneself is realizing your inner self. Interpreting your flaws and strengths, this would require a longer time as you need to unlearn things and have an extremely open mind to bring in new informations, new thoughts, knowledge, and so on. The second step is correcting yourself. Stop justifying your mistakes and take maximum effort to change. After you have understood and corrected yourself, expose and convey yourself to others. Start speaking up. Start it with the very close people around you. Friends, families, teachers, or anyone close to you. Let each second of your life be a lesson. Turn over a new leaf.